Breaking news. Billionaire Gregory Martin rushed to ICU amid shocking family ultimatum. In the early hours of this morning, Gregory Martin, the renowned owner of the multi-billion-dollar Starlight Corporation, was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Sources confirm that he is now on life support in the intensive care unit, ICU. This alarming development follows a grim diagnosis made public a month ago, when doctors revealed that Mr. Martin had only 5 months to live due to a severe life-threatening illness. However, what has captured the public's attention is the extraordinary ultimatum he issued to his only son, Darlington Martin. As his health deteriorates, Mr. Martin has placed an unexpected and high-stakes condition on his son. Darlington has been given 3 months to marry, failing which the ownership of Starlight Corporation will be handed over to a charity organization. The decision has sparked both shock and sympathy, particularly as it places Darlington under immense personal and professional pressure. Darlington, known for his carefree bachelor lifestyle, is reportedly in a state of emotional turmoil. The prospect of losing the family empire, combined with his father's rapidly declining health, has left him overwhelmed. Close family sources reveal that Darlington is torn between 2 impossible choices: rushing into a marriage that may not be genuine, or watching the company his father built from the ground up slip away. That same day in the evening, as Darlington Martin stepped out of the private jet onto the bustling tarmac of the city's international airport, the atmosphere immediately shifted. A group of young women, who had been eagerly awaiting his arrival, rushed toward him. Some carried placards with messages of support, like "We believe in you," "Darlington," "Save Starlight," "Marry now." Others simply wanted his attention, calling out his name and snapping selfies as they surrounded him. Despite their enthusiasm, Darlington remained composed, offering a few polite nods and faint smiles as he made his way through the crowd. The media was not far behind. A swarm of reporters pushed through the gathering, microphones and cameras thrust forward in a chaotic attempt to get a statement. "Mr. Martin, how do you plan to handle your father's ultimatum? Will you marry someone soon, or is there another strategy? What's your response to the rumors about potential candidates lining up for the position of Mrs. Martin?" Darlington paused briefly, his expression unreadable behind his sunglasses. With practiced politeness, he responded, "Thank you all for your concern. At this moment, I'm focused on my family and my father's health. Please understand that I will address these matters at the appropriate time." Without giving the reporters more to probe, Darlington excused himself and moved purposefully toward the sleek black luxury car waiting nearby. The chauffeur, dressed in a crisp uniform, quickly stepped forward to open the door. Darlington slipped inside with a quiet sigh, relieved to have a moment away from the chaos. Just as the chauffeur was about to close the door, a strikingly beautiful reporter pushed through the crowd, her sharp heels clicking against the pavement. Her bright red blazer and determined expression caught Darlington's attention. "Mr. Martin," she called, her voice cutting through the noise. Darlington paused, his hand resting on the edge of the car door. The reporter leaned closer, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "Will you still be at your usual club next Friday?" Her question momentarily caught him off guard, but his signature charm returned quickly. With a subtle, knowing smile, he nodded. "Yes, of course. I wouldn't miss that for anything." The reporter beamed, jotting down his response before stepping back, allowing the chauffeur to finally close the door. As the car's engine purred to life and it sped off, the gathered crowd erupted into animated chatter. Some of the girls in the crowd squealed with excitement. "Did you hear that? He's still going to the club. Maybe we'll get to see him," one said, clutching her friend's arm. 2 days later, Darlington attended a seminar organized for the final year students at Bryan University. Despite his usual high-profile status, he arrived inconspicuously, dressed neatly, but wearing a motorcycle helmet to conceal his identity. Throughout the event, he remained reserved, observing the interactions of the students. After the seminar ended, the students naturally grouped into smaller circles, discussing various topics. The buzz about Darlington's rumored attendance at the upcoming Friday clubbing event dominated many conversations, especially among the ladies. One group. Clara leaned in excitedly. "My mom promised to give me all the support I need if I can get Martin's attention and dance with him on Friday. She says I could be the next Mrs. Martin." Before Clara could continue, Geraldine, a confident and sharp-tongued young woman, cut her off. "How dare you even think about it? Martin is my fiancé. My parents are close friends with his family, and they've already promised he'll be mine, so don't waste your time." Darlington, standing a few feet away, overheard the heated conversation. Smiling to himself, he decided to play along. He walked over to Geraldine and, in a calm and charming voice, said, "Hello, beautiful. Can you dance with me this Friday at the club? I want to be there, but it would be so dull without you beside me." Geraldine, startled by his approach, quickly assessed his modest appearance, particularly the helmet covering his face. Her expression shifted from surprise to amusement, and then to disdain. She burst into mocking laughter. "Can you listen to yourself?" she said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "I'm planning to meet the real Martin, the owner of Starlight, and you, some ordinary biker, dare to ask me to go with you to the same venue. Don't you think I should get you arrested for this audacity?" The other girls around her erupted into laughter, their eyes darting to Darlington's helmet as they whispered and giggled, making jest of his perceived insignificance. Darlington, unbothered by their ridicule, offered a polite nod and walked away from the group. However, the mocking laughter followed him out of the hall. As he stood outside, reflecting on the interaction, Darlington noticed another young woman standing near the curb, waiting for a taxi. Her demeanor was calm but determined, and her simple elegance caught his attention. He approached her cautiously, keeping his voice soft. "My lady, you are beautiful," he began, intending to engage her in polite conversation. But before he could say more, the woman cut him off with a cold glare. "How dare you speak to me?" she snapped, her tone laced with irritation. "Do you want to infect my life with your ill luck? My wedding with the owner of Starlight is coming up soon, and you're certainly not invited. But I'll make sure you get casual work, cleaning the venue." Her words, dripping with scorn, struck Darlington, but he remained composed. "Thank you," he replied simply, giving her a small nod before walking away. The ladies inside the hall continued gossiping about the biker guy who had the audacity to approach Geraldine. They speculated who he was and laughed off the encounter, assuming he was an overconfident nobody. As Geraldine arrived home, she found her stepsister, Treasure, sitting quietly at the dining table, engrossed in solving a mathematics problem. The sight irritated Geraldine, who had spent the day strategizing for her upcoming meeting with Darlington Martin. She slammed her bag on the counter and shouted, "You're just sitting there doing nothing, while I've been busy arranging my meeting with Darlington, the only son of the Starlight Corporation. Can't you be more useful?" Treasure looked up, startled by the outburst, her eyes wide with surprise. She responded softly, "I've already ironed your clothes and prepared your shoes for Friday. If there's anything else you need me to do, just let me know. I promise to give you my full support." Before Geraldine could respond, the sound of footsteps filled the hallway. Mr. and Mrs. Harold entered the room, their expressions a mix of curiosity and displeasure. They had overheard the conversation. Mrs. Harold, with a sneer, immediately turned to Treasure. "Keep your so-called full support to yourself," she said sharply. "My daughter doesn't need help from someone like you. Her marriage to Darlington is already secured. Your father has done what needs to be done." Treasure's face fell, her expression a mixture of hurt and confusion. Mr. Harold, clearly taken aback, turned to his wife, his voice firm. "How many times must I tell you to treat these children fairly? Stop making Treasure feel like an outsider because of her parents' demise. She's a part of this family and deserves a place here, just as much as Geraldine." Mrs. Harold's anger flared. Her eyes narrowed, and her tone became icy. "No way," she spat. "I will never give her the same privileges as my daughter. No one competes with my child, no one." Geraldine stood by, a smug smile on her face, clearly enjoying the moment. Treasure, on the other hand, could no longer hold back her tears. They streamed down her cheeks as she lowered her head, clutching her notebook tightly. Seeing Treasure's distress, Mr. Harold moved toward her, but before he could offer comfort, Mrs. Harold grabbed Geraldine's hand. "Come with me," she said, her voice softening only for her daughter. "I got a new party dress for you. You're going to look stunning at the club on Friday." Geraldine beamed, her earlier annoyance melting away as she followed her mother out of the room, leaving Treasure behind. Early in the morning, Darlington rode his motorcycle through the bustling streets, his helmet securely in place to keep his identity hidden. The city was alive with activity, but trouble soon struck when his bike came to an abrupt halt. Realizing he had a flat tire, Darlington pulled over to the side of the road. He stood there, looking around for help, but to his dismay, no one seemed interested. Passers-by glanced at him with indifference, some even mocking him. A group of young women passing by laughed openly, whispering loud enough for him to hear. "Imagine wasting time here under the scorching sun for a guy like that," one of them said, smirking. "We're busy planning to meet Darlington Martin, the heir to Starlight Corporation. This scruffy biker is nothing compared to him." They giggled as they walked away, leaving Darlington to fend for himself. As the sun climbed higher, Treasure, a modest and kind-hearted young woman, walked down the same road on her way to school. She noticed the stranded biker, his bike leaning awkwardly against the curb. As she drew closer, Darlington turned to her, raising his hand in greeting. "Good morning," he said politely, his voice calm despite his predicament. "I'm sorry to bother you, but do you happen to have any change or know where I can get help to fix my tire?" Treasure paused, taking in his disheveled appearance. She saw the sweat on his brow and the weariness in his stance. Though she didn't have much, Her kind heart wouldn't allow her to ignore someone in need. Rummaging through a school bag, she pulled out a small amount of money and handed it to him. "I'm sorry," she said softly. "This is all I have on me. I hope it's enough to help you fix your tire." Darlington accepted the money with a warm smile, his eyes shining with gratitude. "Thank you," he said sincerely. "Thanks so much. It means a lot to me." Treasure hesitated for a moment, then nodded. "It's nothing, really. Just make sure you get that fixed, so you don't get stranded again." As she turned to leave, Darlington stopped her. "Wait," he said. "Can I have your phone number? Not for anything inappropriate, just to thank you properly later." Treasure looked at him, unsure. "You don't have to thank me," she replied. "It was just a small gesture." Darlington smiled, his charm breaking through the tension. "I insist, please." Sighing, she relented and recited her number. "I'm giving you this just because you insisted," she said firmly. "But don't misuse it. You don't owe me anything for that little token." Darlington chuckled and nodded. "Noted. Thank you again. You're truly kind." Darlington watching Treasure disappear into the crowd. Darlington smiled to himself. "She didn't know who I am," he thought, "and yet she helped me without hesitation." The Wednesday, prior to the much-anticipated Friday clubbing event, Darlington brought Treasure home from school on his motorcycle. As Treasure alighted from the bike in front of the Harolds' grand estate, Geraldine and her mother, Mrs. Harold, were returning home in their sleek black luxury car. They spotted Treasure stepping off the motorcycle and immediately took note of the man wearing a helmet. Geraldine's face twisted in anger, and Mrs. Harold, noticing her daughter's agitation, ordered the driver to stop the car. Both women stepped out of the car and stormed toward Darlington and Treasure, their heels clicking sharply on the pavement. Geraldine was visibly furious, her voice cutting through the air. "How dare you?" Geraldine shouted, glaring at Darlington. "How dare you ask me to dance with you on the same Friday I'm supposed to meet Darlington Martin, the heir to Starlight Corporation?" Darlington, still wearing his helmet, raised his hands in a gesture of surrender. "I'm so sorry, Ma," he said calmly, his voice soft yet respectful. "I only wished to attend the party to witness the lucky woman who will win Darlington Martin's heart. I meant no harm. Ma, please forgive me." Geraldine stepped closer, her anger flaring. "Are you stupid or just delusional?" she hissed. "How dare you think I'd dance with you when I'm on the verge of securing a future with the heir to Starlight Corporation? And by the way, why are you even here?" Before Darlington could respond, Treasure stepped forward, her expression resolute. "He's my friend," she said firmly. "He offered to bring me home from school, that's all." Mrs. Harold and Geraldine exchanged glances before bursting into mocking laughter. Geraldine's voice dripped with sarcasm as she addressed Darlington. Well, isn't this just adorable? Why don't you bring her to the club with you? Maybe you two can keep each other company while the real women compete for Darlington Martin's attention." Mrs. Harold sneered, her eyes scanning Darlington with disdain. "Listen to me, biker boy," she said coldly. "You can have Treasure all to yourself. In fact, I'd gladly give her to you as a wife. But don't you ever dare admire my daughter's beauty or come close to her again. Do you understand? If you so much as think about Geraldine, I'll ensure you rot in a jail cell for the rest of your life." Treasure clenched her fists, her face red with humiliation and anger. But Darlington remained calm. He nodded politely and said, "I understand, Ma. Thank you for the advice." As Mrs. Harold and Geraldine turned to leave, Treasure whispered to Darlington, "I'm sorry about this. You shouldn't have had to deal with them." Darlington smiled behind his helmet and replied softly, "Don't worry about it. Some things aren't worth the anger. Let's focus on the good people in life." As the luxury car sped off, Geraldine and her mother laughed triumphantly, feeling they had put the biker boy in his place. Treasure was still fast asleep when her phone buzzed insistently on the bedside table. Grudgingly, she reached for it, squinting at the screen. The caller ID showed biker. Smiling softly, she swiped to answer. "Good morning, biker," she greeted, her voice still heavy with sleep. "How was your night?" On the other end, Darlington's voice came through, calm and cheerful. "Good morning, Treasure. My night was great, thank you. I hope I didn't wake you up too early." Treasure chuckled lightly, sitting up in bed. "Not at all. I was about to get up anyway. What's up? Do you need something?" Darlington hesitated for a moment, clearing his throat. "Actually, yes," he said, his tone uncharacteristically timid. "I need a favor, and I hope you won't say no." Intrigued, Treasure's curiosity piqued. "Go ahead," she encouraged. "Anything for you, my friend." Darlington hesitated again, as though gathering courage. Would you go with me to the club tonight?" he finally asked. "I want us to witness Darlington Martin dancing with his bride-to-be. I think it'll be a night to remember." Treasure's face lit up with excitement. "Really? You want me to come with you?" she asked, her voice filled with surprise and joy. "That would be such an honor. I'd love to go. I'll make sure I'm ready." Darlington couldn't help but laugh, a deep and genuine sound that made Treasure smile even more. "Thank you, Treasure," he said warmly. "You just made my day. I promise it'll be a night you won't forget. Oh, and one more thing." "Yes," Treasure prompted eagerly. Darlington added with a teasing tone, "I'll be there live, dancing with you with my helmet on, of course." Treasure burst into laughter, shaking her head. "You're so funny. Thanks for giving me this opportunity to attend with you. I'll make sure I'm ready." "Perfect," Darlington replied, his voice full of gratitude. "I'll pick you up tonight. Thank you again, Treasure." As the call ended, Treasure sat on her bed, her heart brimming with excitement. She couldn't wait to see what the evening held and felt deeply touched that her biker friend wanted her to accompany him. That Friday evening was a whirlwind of activity at the Harold household. Treasure had been up since dawn, assisting a team of hired professional stylists in transforming Geraldine into the epitome of elegance. With every brushstroke of makeup and adjustment of her gown, Geraldine grew more radiant, her beauty perfectly tailored to her mother's exacting standards. She stood before the mirror, admiring the finished look, a stunning vision of sophistication. "You look perfect," Mrs. Harold said proudly, her eyes glinting with approval. "Tonight, Darlington Martin will see you and know you're the one for him." Meanwhile, Treasure dressed simply, her outfit a modest contrast to Geraldine's elaborate attire. She wore a comfortable but neat dress, waiting quietly for her ride. Though she was excited, her enthusiasm was tempered by the usual demands placed on her. As Geraldine prepared to leave, She strutted confidently out to the waiting sleek black car. The driver opened the door, and she slid inside gracefully, her demeanor exuding self-assurance. With a wave to her mother, the car roared to life and sped off toward the club. Mrs. Harold turned her sharp gaze to Treasure, who was tidying up in the corner. "You're not going to that club looking like that," she said with a sneer. "First, clean the sitting room. When you're done, you can go to your silly party with that useless biker you seem so fond of." Treasure nodded quietly, swallowing her frustration as she picked up a broom and got to work. She swept the floor meticulously, her thoughts drifting to the night ahead. Despite Mrs. Harold's harsh words, she couldn't help but feel a spark of excitement about the evening. As she finished cleaning, her phone buzzed on the table. Wiping her hands, she picked it up and saw the caller ID, Biker. "Hello," she answered eagerly. "I'm outside," Darlington said, his voice calm and steady. "Are you ready?" Treasure's face lit up. "Yes, I'll be right there." She grabbed her small bag and rushed out the door, her heart pounding with excitement. Outside, the familiar sight of the biker, helmet on and motorcycle gleaming under the streetlights, greeted her. She jumped onto the bike with a grin, holding on tightly as he revved the engine. "Let's go," she said enthusiastically. Darlington chuckled. "Hold on tight, Treasure. Tonight's going to be unforgettable." With that, the bike roared to life and zoomed off into the night, carrying Treasure toward a party that promised to be far more eventful than she could have ever imagined. The grand hall was a dazzling sight, adorned with glittering chandeliers and vibrant decorations that reflected the prestige of the event. It was packed with young women, each dressed in stunning gowns, radiating elegance as they waited with bated breath for Darlington Martin, the heir to Starlight Corporation, to make his much-anticipated entrance. The press was scattered across the room, cameras poised to capture every detail of the evening. The music had started, its lively rhythm filling the air, but the dance floor remained empty. No one dared to step forward, each woman holding out hope that Darlington would arrive and choose her as his dance partner. Whispers and murmurs filled the room, anticipation building with each passing moment. Suddenly, the sound of a motorcycle revving outside caused heads to turn. Moments later, the biker and Treasure walked into the hall. All eyes were immediately drawn to them. Treasure, though simply dressed compared to the other women, held herself with quiet confidence. The biker, with his ever-present helmet concealing his face, walked beside her with an unbothered stride. The pair made their way to the dance floor, and to everyone's surprise, they began dancing. The room fell into a stunned silence before whispers erupted. "Who does she think she is?" one woman muttered, her eyes narrowing at Treasure. "Is that the same biker who's always hanging around?" another scoffed. Laughter rippled through the crowd as some women exchanged scornful glances. "What a joke," Geraldine sneered. "She's dancing with him." Clara smirked, leaning toward Geraldine. "It's embarrassing, really. And to think they had the audacity to come here." Undeterred by the whispers and jeers, Treasure and the biker continued dancing, their movements graceful yet simple. At a point, the biker paused and stepped away from Treasure. He walked confidently toward the crowd of women, his voice calm but loud enough to be heard over the music. "Ladies," he said, addressing the room, "why don't any of you join me on the dance floor? The music is good, and the night is young. His words were met with a mix of disdain and mockery. Geraldine rolled her eyes dramatically. "Dance with you," she hissed. "I'd rather be arrested than embarrass myself like that." Clara laughed, tossing her hair over her shoulder. "Get lost, helmet man. No one's interested in your little stunt." Some of the other women jeered, calling him names and laughing loudly. "Go back to where you came from," one of them shouted. Darlington, unperturbed by their reactions, shrugged and turned back toward the stage. As he walked away, Geraldine called after him mockingly, "Stay in your lane, or I'll make sure security drags you out of here." Ignoring the threats, Darlington returned to Treasure, who was watching the scene unfold with a mixture of amusement and concern. Without a word, he resumed dancing with her, his movements carefree and confident. The crowd's murmurs grew louder, the mix of curiosity and disbelief palpable. "Why is he so comfortable?" someone whispered. "Does he not care what people think?" another asked. As the music continued to play, the biker and Treasure remained at the center of the dance floor, their connection overshadowing the judgmental stares around them. As the dance continued, Clara and Geraldine sat at their table, their irritation simmering. The sight of the biker and Treasure confidently dancing in the center of the grand hall was drawing more attention than they could tolerate. Geraldine clenched her fists, her lips curling in disdain. "This is ridiculous," she muttered. "These nobodies are stealing the spotlight." Clara smirked, leaning closer to her. "I bet. He's some ugly poor guy, trying to make a scene. He probably thinks this will make him famous. Let's put an end to this nonsense." The two exchanged a wicked glance before standing up, their heels clicking purposefully as they made their way to the dance floor. The crowd watched with growing curiosity, murmurs spreading as the pair approached the biker and Treasure. Clara and Geraldine stopped a few feet away, staring at the dancing duo with mock amusement. Geraldine folded her arms, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Enjoying your little moment." The biker and Treasure paused, looking at them curiously. Before either could respond, Geraldine stepped forward. With a quick, determined motion, she reached for the biker's helmet and yanked it off. The hall fell into a stunned silence. The man standing before them wasn't some ugly poor guy. It was Darlington Martin himself, the heir to Starlight Corporation. His sharp features and confident demeanor instantly commanded attention. Gasps echoed throughout the room, followed by chaos. Every woman in the hall, realizing who he was, rushed toward the stage in a frenzied attempt to get close to him. "Darlington! It's really him!" someone shouted. "Darlington! I've admired you forever," another cried, pushing through the crowd. Before the situation could spiral further out of control, a team of security guards swiftly intervened, forming a protective barrier around Darlington and Treasure. The guards held back the surging crowd, their professionalism keeping the chaos at bay. Treasure, still standing beside Darlington, looked up at him with wide eyes, her heart pounding. "Are you the Darlington Martin?" she stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. Darlington turned to her, his expression softening. He nodded with a gentle smile. "Yes, Treasure, I am. And I have something to say." He stepped forward, his voice calm yet commanding as he addressed the room. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for coming tonight. I know you've been waiting to see who will win my heart. Well, the wait is over." He turned back to Treasure, his gaze unwavering. "I hereby announce Treasure as my bride." The hall erupted into a mix of shock, disbelief, and applause. Cameras flashed as the press scrambled to capture every second of the moment. Reporters quickly began broadcasting the news live, and within minutes, headlines across social media and news platforms screamed the announcement. Darlington Martin chooses his bride. A stunning revelation at the club. Treasure's hands trembled as she looked at Darlington, overwhelmed by the sudden turn of events. "Why me?" she whispered, tears welling in her eyes. Darlington smiled, his voice steady. "Because you saw me for who I was, not what I have. You treated me with kindness when no one else did. That's all I've ever wanted." As the music resumed, Darlington took her hand and led her into a slow dance. The crowd, though buzzing with chatter and speculation, could only watch in awe as the heir to Starlight Corporation danced with the woman he had chosen, sealing a night no one would ever forget. Hello besties, what are your takeaways from this story? Please share them with us in the comment section. We'd love to hear your thoughts.
If you want this video to continue, comment part 2 in the comments section. Thank you.
There are even more interesting stories waiting for you on this channel. Check the description below for the links to those videos. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and become part of our amazing community. Thank you so much for watching. God bless you all. I love you.